Hello, Windows developers. I'm Jerry, and this is Darren, and you are watching Microsoft Virtual Academy getting started with Template 10.
Nice, but actually we're getting finished with Template 10.
Oh yeah, this is our last session, kind of closing out and making sure you know all the resources available to you if you want to learn more, and to kind of give you an overall view of kind of what makes up Template 10, so you can see its scope. It's pretty astounding.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. Especially having spent all day talking about it. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, it's neat, and it's not all smoke and mirrors, which is
surprising.
A relief.
Okay, so Template 10 resources. First and foremost, you can get hold of the Template 10 library using NuGet.
That's right. Now, it is unusual for you to go to NuGet and get the library alone. Unless you're very familiar with the implementation of Template 10, there are quite a few steps that would follow getting just the raw library. The reason it's in NuGet is because we can service it and upgrade it if we find any errors, which we're yet to find any.
If only that were true. But also to add new capabilities over time.
That's right. That's right. And that's exactly right. Right now, at the recording of this, we're at 1.1.4 or 5. I can't quite remember. We're right there.
4-ish.
4-ish. Yeah, that's right.
You mentioned it would be difficult to use it on its own. So fortunately, there are a series of templates.
And where do you go to get the templates, Darren?
Sounds like it would be a Visual Studio extension.
Yeah, all right. So I go to extension. Where do I go to get the extension, Darren?
The Visual Studio Gallery.
That's right. So I go to Tools, Tools, Extensions, and then that brings up the UI that will search the gallery for me.
Or you could go to any browser and search.
That's
Download
true.
the V6 as well.
Yeah. Now that's tricky. You have to search for Visual Studio Gallery. Then inside the gallery, you search for Template 10.
Or you could search for 60BB88.
Yeah, or you could type the GUID in raw. That's exactly right. Yeah. Once you have the extension, by the way, it upgrades itself as well. So as we make improvements to the templates and pieces like that, you'll automatically get those improvements inside Visual Studio. It services the V6 for us. And it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
Very nice.
And so it comes with 3 templates, the hamburger template, the minimal template, and then the blank template. All serve their own purpose, all implement Template 10 the same way. So it's nice and consistent. Remember, Template 10 is really about conventions, and so using our templates really sets you up to use a set of universal conventions that may or may not fit your development style, and if they don't use those conventions. It's that easy.
Sounds good. Now, this gives everybody access to the prepackaged templates and DLLs. What about if they want to learn more about how it was written?
That's right. Sometimes looking at the source code itself and kind of reverse engineering it can really teach you a lot. It can also make you very comfortable with the code in case you're suspicious of it or you just don't trust anything that's open source. Terrific. You can go to GitHub. So GitHub, it's github.com/windows-xaml/template10. That's the URL to reach the raw source. The great news of it being there is, one, you can clone it down and have it raw right there and do all of your debugging so you can step through the source itself whenever you have some sort of problem and you're wondering what it is. Don't you hate it when you're trying to debug and that external code block shows up and you can't do anything? This is a nice solution for that.
Yep.
In addition to that, you can, once you've cloned it, you can even package up a nice pull request of a fix or a feature enhancement that you might write yourself. Submit that up and everybody in the community will get the benefit, just like you get the benefit, of all the pull requests that have happened before now.
Absolutely. And of course, there's also a great advantage that there are host of samples that are actually within that source code repository as well. So if there are specific scenarios that you may be unfamiliar with on how to use, say, master detail or something along those lines, you can have a look at that and you can see some examples of how you could implement it within your application itself.
Yeah, that's right. There are probably 12 samples up there right now, and most of them are a result of issues that have come in GitHub where developers are asking how to do something that honestly is a little bit tricky, so it warrants creating some sort of sample to do it. And so you'll see, how do I use Cortana with Template 10? Is that tricky? Well, it is a little bit tricky until you see it, and then it's obvious. And so it's nice to have these samples to kind of jumpstart you into that. So file activation and everything else. It seems like it's a terrific set of just UWP samples for you to be able to learn sort of basic pieces of UWP as well. All of them kind of in the context of how would you do this with Template 10. And once you start seeing the pattern, you could probably write the samples on your own because the implementation of Template 10 is very repetitive, and after you've seen it a time or two, I think pretty intuitive as well.
Yep. Okay. we've just spent a number of hours recording videos that explain template 10, but what if you're sick and tired of it listening to you and I speak about it? What other resources are available to learn more?
That's right. What if you don't like to watch or listen, but you like to read and look at sources and samples as well? Well, obviously, you can look at the samples, but more importantly, you can also go to our wiki. The wiki is up there on GitHub right next to the source control or the source code. And so there's the URL for it, right? GitHub/wiki when you get to it. And what's beautiful about wikis are that you can contribute to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have written all the seed content so that you can see all the basic implementation and understand the core pieces of all the controls, all of the behaviors, all of the actions, all of the converters. I mean, a lot.
A lot.
Right? It's all there, and there's a lot going on. And if you see a typo, there's no reason you can't fix that typo for us. So it's really, really great to see us all work together. It's kind of crowdsourcing awesomeness.
Sounds good.
I think a cool thing, are you going to go to the super slide?
Here comes the super slide.
All right, so I think the...
Oh, hang on. We've even more to discover. We haven't talked about snippets.
Well, let me tell you about he's showing the super slide for a second. So the thing with the supers, we have shown in this course all of the templates, all of the kind of essentials around Bootstrapper, all the services, all the implementation around MVVM, the converters, behaviors, actions. We just went through all of the controls, but you're right. We didn't talk about the utilities.
Uh-huh.
So utilities are a series of mostly utilities.
Well named.
Many of them are C# extensions that enable things like observable collection.addRange.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that you just kind of want and you wish everybody had it. Or IEnumerable.forEach. You know, that's all the desktop developers have that. We might as well have it as well. And a lot of little things like that. And that is really an evolutionary piece of template 10, certainly not a core piece of template 10. Pretty handy for a lot of things you can do, including spelunking up and down the visual tree inside XAML. So there's many of them are XAML related, to be honest.
Yeah, they're just little things that we always seem to end up adding to our apps.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and
that's right.
Is it really template 10 branded? No. They're just nice little things that ended up in there because we use them all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And so and what's great about that sort of thing is the code you could easily go into and just rip it out and use it in your own project. If you're wondering, like for example, one of them is the device utility, where we determine whether or not this is continuum, whether or not this is a phone, whether or not this is just mobile, things like that. That's pretty tricky. And so you can go in and rip that out and just put it inside your application. Worth pointing out that it might actually be smart to use a reference to template 10 to use that utility, because as it changes, obviously we're going to keep that up to date to support not only 10.240 like it does, 10.586 like it does, but also whatever number we're going to use for Redstone when it comes out.
Yep, sounds good. Also snippets. There's a
Oh
host
my
of
goodness,
snippets.
Snippets too, yeah, we can't forget that. That's not even in our super list.
Nope.
So the snippets inside template 10 are T10 underscore, and then there's a whole slew, probably 13 of them, including one, right now there's only one, for XAML, not just C#, so you can create visual states. And all of those, by the way, don't install automatically with the extension. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, all you have to do is go grab them, go clone the GitHub source. They're all right there in a folder called snippets, and
Stunning.
Pretty neat. And just add them into Visual Studio. You don't even have to move them into the Visual Studio folder. You can add that folder to your snippets library inside Visual Studio using the snippets manager. So then you have it, and you can say T10 underscore. You can create a view model the way we create a view model. You can create a notifiable property the way we create a notifiable property. Many of you probably already have snippets like this inside Visual Studio, and may not need them. Many of you may not. And so here they are, free to take.
I think that's a wrap.
Oh, so that really is it.
That is.
All these things, from templates to snippets, we finally covered it all.
Finally covered all of that ground.
So this is the reminder that Template 10 is not a Microsoft product. No, it is a open source product that you are one of the contributors to make it better. So it's had a great life, right? We're up to, I think it's been around about 9 months now, right?
Yeah.
Not too long. And its seeds of origin really come from Darren and I have done a lot of work together building out samples, explanations, MVAs, courses, and actual apps. And all this lessons learned kind of boiled together into a library that at its heart is also rooted in the work that was originally done by the Patterns and Practices team here at Microsoft for Prism for Store Apps in Windows 8. And so There's a lot of really healthy lineage there, used by applications internally. A lot of Microsoft applications use that. We have an open source process that we have to go through in order to use open source code, and Templet 10 is listed on there, ready to go. So if you are a Microsoft employee, don't feel like you can't. Also, if it's a lot of like high impact, high names. What am I trying to say? A highbrow, influential, a lot of great apps that are in the store already are using Templet 10. They've branched off. They've branched off and used their own kind of frozen in time version of it, including the New York Times app. That's one of them, right? It's really cool. And a couple of, wait, I said New York Times, but it's Wall Street Journal.
Now you've just confused everybody.
Now I'll never know. But
never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, there's so many, and it's really been a benefit to us to be able to receive back a lot of the work that these developers are doing, finding issues that make it so much better, and then committing back, or at least submitting back, pull requests that we get to merge into the code, and every version of Templet 10 is better and better. It's a beautiful library. A lot of work. Your UWP app is accelerated quickly because of it, and it's great.
Yep, sounds good. Well, what remains is to go out and start using it.
Yep, there you go. The easiest way is to go to get the extension and start from a template. Good job, Darren. Thanks for sticking with me today.
It's all right.
All right, we'll see you again then. Bye-bye.